Hey folks, how you doing? Glad to be with you. Um, I'm talking about the doctrine of eternal life. You know, it's a realization that people can have, and those who are fortunate to have this realization live a relative life of peace and contentment, even though they live in a world of time. Okay, they still have the reality of eternity. There are some people in the world who don't even keep their age in some societies. Ask them how old they are, they don't know. They don't need to know. They're blessed with the realization of eternity. But a doctrine, like a theory, must be based on fact. So where did the idea come from about this eternal life? Well, it had to do with natural cycles. The sun and the moon, they have cycles. And to the ancient folks, they just felt that these cycles were eternal because they were unceasing. They never stopped. You see? And then came the another doctrine, which had to do with cycles also. But here, the Father was born as his own son. For example, the sun, our sun in the sky, sets every evening. And to the ancients, when night came, it was like a death of the sun, because they couldn't see it anymore. It was like swallowed up in darkness. That was the view, the idea, you know. But fortunately, every morning the sun rose, you see. So they say that the sun of the day before that set in the evening was like an old man. It died. But was reborn again as its own child, you see. This is a doctrine that was also expressed in the Assyrian religion, like in Osiris and Isis, for example. That's the French names, okay, of this god and goddess. But Osiris, okay, was reborn, you see, in his own son, or as his own son, you see. And so this is eternal. It continues on. It's a replication. Okay. Now, the plants, the vegetation, and animals, especially the plants, it was pretty obvious to the folks that there was an eternal cycle relative to plant life, because the plants would die in the winter and were reborn in the spring, you see. And so the same concept of the Father being born in the Son existed, because when the plant died, it left seeds around, and these seeds sprouted in the spring. They come from the plant. So they say, well, the plant lives in its own son, or lives in its own seed. You see? And this is a cycle. It continues on even to this day. So we see now that the theory or the doctrine of eternal life is based on natural fact. And theories are supposed to be based on natural fact. They're supposed to be like a practical thing, you see, not just born out of nowhere. They're based on something. And so this doctrine of eternal life is based on natural facts. So we have also, when it comes to eternity and stability, there's the pole star. Like the star that people put on top of their Christmas tree or a pole in some celebration or something. It's the pole star, the North Star. Okay? And so people looked upon the North Star as a place of stability and relaxation and eternity, you see. So these concepts, these doctrines and whatnot that people live by, instilled in them the idea of everlasting life or eternal life. They were taught these things, you see. Even if a person died, well, we know he's supposed to be reborn again. That's the doctrine of eternal life, because this rebirth continues on eternally. Even though the pole star, they would stay in position for about 3,700 years or so, and then it would move and another would take its place. But there was nobody living for 3,000 years to see the change in pole stars, you know. But anyway, the pole star was an eternal place of relaxation and stability, and that was a very important thing. People wanted stability in their lives just like today, you see, and they looked upon the pole star, a symbol of eternity, to see that stability and experience stability through that star. Okay? So the pole star was very important to people. This was back, though, in the stellar times. That is before solar time and lunar time. That was stellar time, dealing with the stars. And the first people who did that were females, you see. That's why it was always the goddesses first, the goddesses in heaven. They're the ones that came up with this eternal business. Thanks goodness they did. But yeah, it was females who came up with this, the goddesses. Okay? So, there is a custom and a saying where people will greet somebody saying, "How are the two of you?" So here the impression is that they believe that there was two entities here. Okay? The physical body and something inside. Okay? That something inside was electromagnetic energy. So the human being is an electromagnetic creature, and other animals are too, even the plants. We all have electromagnetic energy flowing through the bodies. Okay? But now, as this relates to eternal life, we know that the body goes to the grave. And so we heard people talk about the spirit rising from the body. Well, if anything rises from the body when it goes to the grave, it's electromagnetic energy, because you can't destroy it. It's eternal. And that is the eternal aspect of the human being and other creatures too. Okay? So this here brings on the idea of eternity, because we have an eternal aspect within us. Now, we can go back, for example, where we have a god named was Ptah. He sat at the potter's wheel, and he made okay, a child out of clay, okay? And he put the child's car into the child to give the child locomotion so the child could move, right? Clay is not going to move. So he puts what you call a car into the child, giving the child locomotion. Well, this car evidently must have been electromagnetic energy, because that's what gives the human beings and other animals the ability to move about. And it is eternal. So if a person identifies with the eternal aspect of himself, he would see himself as forever. Because that aspect of him, the true being, they say, is eternal. The problem here with the human, while he doesn't hardly truly realize eternity, is because he's taught the idea of the world of time, which we do live in the world of time, but not always. Time was created by human beings. Long time ago. They were women who created time. That's why the first goddesses of time, it wasn't gods, it was goddesses that they placed up there in the heaven. Because the human's not taught about eternity, he's taught about time. Everything that the human does has to do with measurement and keeping time, which is measurement also. You see. And so the human has established for himself a world of time aside from and different from the world of eternity. And that's the one reason why the human finds it difficult to really get into the concept of eternity. Okay, folks, thank you, and I'll get back with you and subscribe and have a good day. All right, bye-bye.